This should be a good one.
Let's have some fun.
Have some fun a little bit. You ready?
Let's do it.
This feels kind of wobbly, but yeah, she'll work. Good. Rolling. I got a red dot. Sweet. Welcome back to the Silver Bolt Podcast, everyone out there in YouTube and podcast land. Nice to see you guys today. That's a horrible introduction. Terrible.
Are you distracted right now?
I don't know. Previous conversations we've been having, it is what it is.
We
Colton,
have a staff meeting right before this,
right.
so
Colton and James here with you guys today. Coming at you guys with a little bit of fun rambling.
this one will be it'll be a good time.
I feel as though that we should, at least say that there's probably going to be some venting in here. So if this isn't your kind of thing, feel free to catch us in 2 weeks. We got another episode coming out. But we do think this is something that is pretty polarizing compared to a lot of beliefs right now.
Yeah.
Consider it old school. Consider it what you be. But I say we collectively, me, you, Reclaim our business. Us as individuals, we're trying to change for the better, and we're always looking for new ways to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. And so a lot of our talk today is going to be centered around social media. And I guess for a little bit of context, we should probably throw that out there right now, right? We deleted our Facebook account for our business. And there's not an uproar. It was such a weird thing to do. Like, why would a business up and delete something that, from the outside looking in, is such a vital piece of information based for the business, right? So, we're going to kind of talk about that a little bit, kind of what prompted it, why we're moving the way we're doing, and kind of the outcome behind it. From there, I'm going to kind of go into kind of some personal decisions that we've made based on our social media platforms, or I guess lack thereof, reasoning why, and I guess I don't say transformation, it's more like an awakening, to realize that there as much as you are finding enjoyment through social media, it's not bringing you any bit of health.
Yeah, I think that hopefully my goal is by the end of this, it would be to encourage others that are maybe they're on the fence, they're thinking about these things. This could potentially be allow them to understand there are those who support their thought process.
I support you.
Yeah, if you need to be done, it's okay to be done.
Absolutely. Yeah. So definitely something kind of weird. Not necessarily something you'd think about listening to a fitness and health podcast about. But I'm telling you, this makes a huge difference. I'll get into my specifics why too.
Facebook is as far as fitness, the landscape. Facebook is probably the number one lead generating resource that most facilities would use. So one of the things I want to talk about is, in an entrepreneur's perspective, it can kind of make you lazy at times.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so, if you're a business owner, there might be some really helpful tips in here. Okay. So let's go ahead and start out with a little bit of context on Reclaim our business. First thing you did when you opened the doors of Reclaim was have a Facebook page, right? A lot of what we're going to talk about, we'll use Facebook as an example, but this applies for all social media, every one of them. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat. What other ones are there? There's a bunch of them. So these are pretty interchangeable. But most fitness facilities, for example, have a Facebook and an Instagram at least. I think that's bare minimum.
Yeah.
Pretty close. So, you open Reclaim, Facebook page came with it. What was the understanding? What was the reasoning why?
To educate the audience, your circle, your radius of what you do. What is your mission? Why are you here? How can you support the community? So on and so forth. How can I connect what we are doing within these four walls with individuals that might want to enter into those four walls?
Right. And then, we're 5 years into it. What's changed?
Our message is here's what's changed. We know exactly who we want to be in here, and we want to know how to get them in here and not use Facebook as the means to just be open to everybody, because we aren't open to everybody.
Right. So the mission stays the same. We're kind of adapting with the method for getting an ideal client into our business.
Right.
Okay. It's not to say that we don't want to give information to everybody that's out there, but there are more people than not that realize that it's not that they're interested in it, but this isn't for them.
Right.
And it's not. We welcome anybody, but there's people who come to their own conclusion, like it's not me.
Sure,
and
it's
that's
not my
cool.
jam.
It's not my jam. Cool, and that's totally fine. You can find that with every business. There's thousands of different fitness facilities you can belong to, and go check them all out if you can. But here's the rambling part about this. People were really hesitant because they're trying to figure out, okay, well, if you don't have Facebook, how are people going to know anything about you? Okay, we're almost a month removed from Facebook. Mm-hmm. We've had more people come into our facility the past month than we did in the past, I don't know, organic leads.
Yeah,
3 months.
Well, and that's
4 months.
Yeah, Jen and I, my wife and I, were just talking about this last night. She was like, "What are you guys doing tomorrow? What are you talking about on the podcast?" And I, filled her in, and I said, "We have had more organic traffic since eliminating Facebook." And my opinion is, I need to do more, research and to track these numbers. But if individuals can't get on Facebook and make an assumption about your business, but they are still curious, they still want to know, they want to learn, they're either going to just write you off because, well, they don't have Facebook, they're not legit, or they're going to reach out and set up an appointment, and that's what we've seen.
Yeah, more people are curious, so they have to come here to figure it out.
Right.
When they come through the door, there's a lot better chance of them seeing something valuable that we do.
Yeah, and I think that there needs to be a disclaimer with that. I think if you're a business that is just starting out, if you're not going to use Facebook, I do think you need to use something to help get that message out. But we're in 5 years into this now. Our referrals and individuals, they know about Reclaim. They understand what Reclaim is. They know someone who's been in here.
Yeah, we also have a smaller community,
right,
by per capita standards here. We don't live in a major city, so we have that at our advantage as well. But the bottom line is, and this is going to be kind of a central theme that you're going to find throughout this podcast, is the world still works very well without Facebook.
Right.
It works really well without Instagram, and it works, matter of fact, probably even better than you would imagine, or at least what you're being told. So kind of the context of where this thing came from. Why are you guys in your quote unquote little bubble without social media and all the things that everyone else has? That'll be cliches because we're not like everybody else. Right. So that leads us a lot into, okay, well, how can, or why should, or information as far as, why is social media not helping us with our health? Okay. One, and this is probably the reason that I gave out the most often when, because I run a lot of the majority large group classes in here. People ask me, okay, why did you delete Facebook? It wasn't making us a better business.
That's a super easy, but just
it wasn't making us a better business,
answer.
And it wasn't making us figure things out. It wasn't, constantly, you should always be tinkering with different things, trying to perfect every scenario, and Facebook was just a comfort thing. It's very easy to do. It's very convenient.
Yeah.
And being convenience, we've talked about convenience on this podcast.
Yeah,
a lot of times.
It was like, for me, to my employees, like, it was annoying to ask them to continue to come up with content that I knew that they didn't care about. And that's that's a hard thing to do. Like, hey, Colton, I want you to write this really awesome post and highlight these people, but do it in a way that portrays Reclaim so everyone wants to come in here and get a piece of that. Like, that's not realistic.
There were so many stories, posts that we did on Facebook that they needed to be told. Like, they were great.
Right.
And, people with all these transformations and accomplishing great feats, like, don't get me wrong, I love putting those things up there and trying to tell a story about what this person did and hoping it would apply to somebody. But, and once again, we'll talk about this here in a little bit, you put those posts out there based on Facebook's algorithms, it's only going to see a couple people are going to see it.
Right.
And it might not even be the audience that you're trying to target. And so therefore you have to spend money for people to see it. And then it becomes a poor return on investment on your end. Because if you just put out a post anymore from a business standpoint that's organic, unless people start either commenting or liking or sharing your post, the algorithm that Facebook has isn't going to create traffic. And the problem was we started doing all these posts that were great. I mean, way back in the early Facebook days, they would have generated so much traffic.
Right.
But now they're almost like purposely hidden from people. And then people don't like the post. And then when the person who had the post written about them goes and sees it and is like, oh,
people don't like me.
Nobody cares about what I'm doing. There's a dopamine response when you see all those like buttons and you see the comments and the people offering congratulations. Well, it's not that people probably didn't like it. A lot of people didn't see it. So there's just a couple reasons you know, of why we're kind of looking at it.
It's a sick thing. I don't know if you're going to bring it up or not as far as the documentary. But
I was going to reference it a little bit. Matter of fact, I was thinking about calling this podcast the social health dilemma.
There we go.
And maybe that was a pretty good catalyst because that was one of the first things that I watched that really kind of had me thinking, right? If you guys aren't familiar with documentaries, or there's one out there called The Social Dilemma. It is on Netflix. It's pretty profound and kind of scary because a lot of the creators of these social media platforms, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever the other ones are on there, like they're all no longer with the company because they saw where it was headed.
Right.
And I think one of the guys that was on there, his job, I can't remember if it was with Google or with, I'll probably screw it up, but one of the major social media and networking companies, like his job was to figure out how to monetize this business. How do we make money from this business? And they figured it out as all through advertisements, right? So as long as they can run an ad in front of your face for 3 to 5 seconds or whatever it is, like they make their money.
Right.
So then it becomes, well, how many ads can I run by you? And if I can't figure out how many ads I can run by you, I got to make sure that I can keep you on the app by showing you things that you have interest in, things that fit your lifestyle, things you like. Like I will do anything and give you the weirdest stuff just to keep your eyes on the screen so that way I can run another ad by you, right?
Yeah, the person becomes the product on social media.
Right.
Which, that's one of the big things that I finally just was kind of like, it works, it's effective, it's super effective.
It's super effective.
You can get people in here and you can get them signed up, but I have to constantly ask myself, is it the right thing to do? Is it effective? Yeah. But is this the best choice I can make with the individuals who are, contributing their money and they're investing in Reclaim? How could we use this in a better way?
Yeah. So anywho, one of the crazy things about that documentary was listening to the different complexity or the different complex algorithms that all these companies use. And every time you touch your screen and you're swiping, it's timing how long your eyes are on a specific image. And if it's over, or if it averages a certain amount of time, like they know that you like that image, and guess what, you're going to start getting more. You guys wonder why you talk about something in conversation, you open up your phone, you're like, holy crap, there it is, we were just talking about that, right? Like these kind of things exist, and it's meant to keep you on a screen. And the problem with that is, because in theory it makes sense, like I'll do all that and that's great. Well, let's say you start to have I don't want to say polarizing viewpoints. Okay, guess what, you're only going to see things that represent that polarizing view, whether that is social injustice issues or political issues, or I only believe in low carb diet, therefore I'm not going to look at the keto, anything. Okay, if you have a viewpoint that is different than mainstream media, guess what? They figured out what your key is, and you're going to get nothing but that on your social media. And that, a lot of times that can lead to a poor, more like a dysmorphia of the world, right? You're like, oh, this is all that I see. This is all that's happening in the world. It's like, that's not really the case.
For sure.
At all.
Yeah.
You think of any, does that make sense kind of how I worded that?
Definitely. It's just
I don't know which way to go with that.
It's the unfortunate thing with the product, the advertisements, individuals being on things. Like we are led we're influenced, we're conditioned to think in a specific way.
I hate the word influenced. I like the word conditioned.
Yeah.
We're straight up Pavlov's dog.
Yeah. So I think all adults especially should kind of take a step back, and you should always ask yourself, like, what do I really believe in? Or, like, am I only believing in these things because it's, like you said, it's what I'm exposed to all the time?
Yeah.
Is that what's true?
Right.
You got to get out and talk with people.
Well, I think that's an interesting point, too, because you're going to be exposed to what you believe in, but I also believe that becomes a comfort bubble for you. Now you're not able to experience anything else.
Right.
Which doesn't challenge your viewpoint. I think that creates the biggest polar opposites in the world right now, especially when it comes to political matters. Like, you only believe what you see, what you're exposed to, so therefore you don't gather any information anywhere else. Okay. How do we take all of this, which is seemingly a good idea, turned into a bad problem per an individual? How does this affect our health? Okay, because this is really and ultimately where we want to go with this podcast,
Yeah.
right? Where do we start? I have my computer up. I don't really have notes, so I'm going to shut it.
I think with so talking specifically about social media, and I think you and I we can both kind of go down this path as part of this podcast. We have kids, we have children. I look at my kids and what do I want them to learn? How do I want them to learn? And for me and my children, I want them to reason. I want them to problem solve. I want them to struggle with stuff. I want them to have to research and to have to, articulate with both sides and then come to their own conclusions of what they believe in, based on experience and whatever else, not just because it's what's in front of them all the time or whatever. So that's a large part of what I consider. So with social media, that's a big reason why I've kind of abandoned it, even personally a long time ago, because I just continue to see younger adults when I meet with them at Reclaim, like they can't even make eye contact with me. Mm-hmm. Like they just don't know how to communicate or have a conversation with another individual because they're just, you can't, if you're only listening, just face in a device or a phone or whatever. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but it's a large majority of our population, and that's where it's continuing to go. So as far as a health perspective, that's going to lead into posture, confidence, guys and girls, all kinds of just lots of issues.
Yeah, that's the thing is like when we were trying to figure out where we wanted to go with this podcast, like it's just what can't we talk about, and I think, that confidence is probably the biggest one. Now let me put some context behind this. Most people are like, okay, I have social media, I like following these people. They give me motivation, they inspire me, they do all these things. If they are doing anything, they're deteriorating your confidence. Okay,
right.
And I dare say it's just about everybody. Okay, now I don't get me wrong. I believe that you can derive some influence. Okay, you can derive influence from somebody who's doing something you like, and that can create habitual changes in your life. But you obviously have to create your own motivation. Mm-hmm. Motivation comes from the root word motif, which is self-induced. It's not from somebody else. It's not how motivational speakers work. It's creating, what's his name? Said the fire within. What's his name?
Oh, it's not Tony Robbins, is it?
Yes, it's Tony Robbins. So like, it's what it's that thing.
Sorry, past career, I'm over Tony Robbins. Sorry, Tony.
So anywho, confidence I think is a huge one because I work with a lot of kids. Okay, and we're talking kids specifically. We'll stay on that topic. I work with a lot of kids, a lot of teenage kids. Even worse, I work with teenage girls. Okay, love them to death. Okay, there are many things that I've picked up over the course of 3-4 years where I've had the ability to work with these kids, and then just seeing it more out in our culture. Mm-hmm. Okay, and this is not just our community, but like anywhere you go in culture, you'll see this happening. So I know it's widespread. It's not just here collectively. You see people's confidence show in their posture.
Right.
Okay. you can tell when somebody, specifically female, has poor confidence or a lesser degree of confidence just by the placement of their shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay. And you can argue that, they got the hunched shoulders and the rounded back and the forward chin. That's because they look at their phone. You can say that. But there's also studies that show that postural position secretes less serotonin. So therefore the body is not happy in that position, right? Which can be tied back to the confidence. Okay. Who was I talking about? The guy that studied the lobsters. He was in Jordan Peterson's book, but he wasn't the one that did it. A guy that essentially took the biology of lobsters and was able to determine pecking order within a small area region, and basically top lobster had the best serotonin.
Yeah.
Top lobster had the best posture. Top lobster didn't have anybody come mess with them because they realized that he was king, pecking order, whether that was through fighting or whatever, but they associated a hierarchy, right? Guess what bottom lobster looks like? He looks like crap.
Right.
He's not intimidating. He's, quote unquote, forward, rounded shoulders, just very to himself, hermit style, don't come fight me. I realize that I'm down here. Don't make my life worse type thing. We see that, and we've realized through studies that adults are very similar. Okay. There might not be a quote unquote hierarchy in our culture, but everybody has a self-understood rank within their community. Okay, and you see the people who think they're pretty high up in the community, look at their posture. Look at how they walk around. Okay, you might, look, he's pompous and important. That's his serotonin levels. And that's postural. That's confidence.
Right.
Now you take any teenage girl you've ever seen in your life, look at their posture. Their shoulders are rounded. They're frumpy. They're terrible T-spine through cervical spine posture, and we wonder why when they play sports they're at such an increased risk of injury right now. We wonder why the mood swings are so bad compared to I don't have the research off the top of my head what that was, but overall elevated mood and depression in child and kids that age is so high compared to recent years. Look at some of the stuff that they are watching on social media.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not. I think that it's not confidence building as much as it's removing confidence from the person.
Yeah, and we don't need to get we're not here to tell parents what to do and how to parent. But I do think, and if you're a parent who watches that documentary, we challenge you to, if you need to know what your kids are being exposed to. You have to have an understanding of it, or if you think that your son or daughter they're just good, they're not going to do that. I'm sorry, you're super naive.
Here's the thing, I deleted my personal Facebook. My personal Instagram was actually hacked, and I couldn't get a new password to reset it, so it's currently in limbo. So I haven't had it for about 8 weeks, which okay, so essentially it's gone. I kept my Snapchat honestly so I could stay in tune with what's going on. I can tell you what they're watching, okay? Yeah. Because I follow some of the same people. I even asked some of the girls, who the kids to follow? Because right now, kids, teenagers, Snapchat's the thing. It's not Facebook. Facebook's for old people, okay?
We're old.
Facebook's for the people who want to see the political battles.
Right.
Snapchat's kind of where it's at. I can tell you what they're looking at. They're looking at Lil Nas, who's that guy that sang Old Town Road. Guess what he just did? He just released some satanic limited edition Nike shoes.
Well, that's fantastic.
Nike just released some satanic had the actual symbol of the Prince of Darkness on the tongue, 666 on the side, and they're releasing 666 copies.
Yeah, that's disgusting.
That was top story on Snapchat today. Now, I'm not here to get into your spiritual views, but I can tell you the other things that were on there.
I'll be celebrating Easter this Sunday. I'll tell you that right now.
There were other things on there as well. You have gosh dang it, freaking Grammys. The two performers that had the really raunchy performance.
Right.
That was on there. And then there was something about a Catholic teacher who got fired for bringing a Bible into a restaurant for something. You can see some polarizing stuff there. And I do believe that you are free to have whatever you want to be interested in, and I'm not going to ridicule you either way. But shoot, kids can't even read Dr. Seuss now.
Right. That is a really good point, and I think we need to bring this up just so individuals know where we stand, or at least where I stand. I think you're probably
the thing is just that like you're seeing what's being removed and what's being put in front.
Right.
Whether or not that aligns with your true visions or not, that's up to you. But at least now you know what's on there.
Sure. I think a lot of individuals, they get frustrated with the censoring and everything, and I'm just going to tell you. From a business owner's perspective, if Facebook, if they want to do what they want to do, they should be able to do what they want to do. Because I don't want people coming and telling me how to run my business.
Right.
I want to make my own decisions. Live in the United States of America. But and on the other part of that, I think sometimes individuals, they think, well, you guys are like anti-technology. We're running a podcast right now. Like, we're all about technology.
Super official podcast.
As long as it is efficient and supports what we do. If it makes sense and can help us out, great.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to the confidence thing with kids. Like, maybe it's not any of the things that I just mentioned, but I can guarantee you that there are people that are their age. They follow different influencers, and these different influencers they're not instilling confidence in them by any means. It's another way to keep them into this position. Okay, head down, face on. It's the whole reason influencers get paid for stuff. It's like, how can I get attention to a product or to a page or to a platform or whatever? So there's nobody out there who's building kids' confidence right now. Okay, and with the confidence comes a lot of the health issues. Okay, we can talk specifically about posture. Holy crap, the posture continues to get terrible. Now I think there's a couple different things that are happening there as well. Like, it doesn't help that if your school is so underfunded that you can't get desks big enough for some of your athletes, like, that's problematic. However, we dealt with it too. I'm not going to say that we didn't.
Yeah, that's it's a big issue. It's not just, but the social media plays into it.
Absolutely. These are just variables.
Right.
Okay. But variables can get a little bit more, this variable can get a little bit more impactful with adults. So kids, we kind of covered. Okay. At least I covered my experience. Okay. Guess I better get this disclaimer out here. Like, I can't prove that's exactly what's happening. This is what I am witnessing. Okay, I experience it every day. We sit at the very front door of our facility here, and adults come walking in and kids come walking in, but more than likely, the kids have their head down, they're looking at their phone, like right off the bat. Adults are pretty bad too.
Right.
Let's focus a little bit more on adults here and how this can be such a challenging thing for them, health-wise. This is focusing more on health. You have to go through a lot of different avenues to kind of see how this affects your health. Case in point with like the dopamine receptors, and everybody wants to see the like button, the comment button, the hearts, the whatever, because that is a huge dopamine rush. When you get a dopamine rush, your body's super, super happy. You like that feeling. You'll do anything to replicate it.
It's like a drug, and
it is a drug. It is a drug. Okay, and when you're scrolling through something and you see something that you like, guess what? Dopamine's going up.
You want another hit.
You will continue to scroll until you find it again.
Right.
Okay. Dopamine can be found in a lot of different things, but recently it's found in social media. So adults. Okay. Once again, it's like where do you start? Okay, we're not doing a 4-hour podcast here.
We could.
We probably could. Do 2 different episodes on this. Where would you start adult-wise?
Something I know that I've lectured on since the beginning of Reclaim, and it's always been I would say an issue of mine when I'm going over like the obstacles, excuses, let's just say it what it is, that an individual will give as far as why they couldn't make it into a super early morning workout, or why they weren't consistent in their training. And ultimately it comes down to, I just don't have time. And then, unraveling their productivity or lack thereof. And look, you as an adult, you have to like kind of understand and decide: is he talking to me? He's talking to me right now. And if there's some conviction there, like, you got to wrestle with that a little bit.
I'm talking with you by name.
And so if like we challenge you to say, okay, how much time do you allot to your social media or specific things that you're doing on your phone, computer, whatever, as far as like leisure or entertainment?
Yeah.
What does that look like in a day? And then you actually have them do it, and so let's say they report back and they're like, "Oh, it was like 2.5 hours the other day." Right. You have plenty of time.
Yeah.
You lack discipline, or it's really not a priority.
Yeah. Here's the thing, and we didn't say this at the beginning. I should have. I think I hinted at it. I was this person. I had Facebook, I had Instagram. Matter of fact, there was a time where I was so invested in making this business and my page the thing that you had to go check out if you wanted to do anything health or fitness related. Like that's what I wanted to do. Okay. I was caught into the dopamine trap myself. It's like, that is such a gratifying feeling, knowing that you put something out there that people appreciate enough to share it with somebody else. It's like, it is a rewarding feeling. So I totally get it. But all that's gone now. Okay. And because of that, time was the first thing that I fully noticed. Okay. And funny enough, you got an iPhone, like it's going to tell you your average screen time. And it was like making notifications like, "Hey, are you all right?" Type thing. It's like, you're not dead, are you? Your screen time was down by 3 hours the other day. No, so time is one of the biggest things that I noticed right off the bat. Matter of fact, I made a comment to my wife. I read 2 books. I haven't read a book since college. 2 books. And it's interesting. I enjoyed it now. It's pretty crazy. The one health thing that I was noticing second is, and I preach on this a lot. I'm not necessarily a hypocrite because I think I sleep well. My sleep has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And phenomenal. I know there's some underlying research behind the blue light, red light, whatever it is.
It doesn't make that big of a difference.
Oh, okay. Screens. Okay, screens kind of really screwing things up.
No. I mean, if I think that if you're under the influence or assumption, conditioning, whatever, that you think by just changing the lighting on that screen is going to help you sleep.
Oh, okay, yeah.
That's not helping you out that much.
The screen itself.
Right.
Yes. The screen itself screws up a lot of stuff. And so my sleep has been pretty wild. Like, I actually get into REM sleep and dreaming a little bit.
Yeah.
Kind of weird. It is interesting. But I think the biggest rebuttal I get from a lot of people, especially when it's time oriented, is people who are like, well, it's the end of the day. I'm laying in bed looking at my phone. It's like, I don't really have time. I'm in bed. It's like, okay, well, then you're missing out on a matter of fact, arguably the most important aspect.
The healthiest thing you can do.
The thing that has been scientifically proven to kill you faster than anything else is a lack of sleep.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's one of the things we've kind of noticed and taken upon ourselves or challenged ourselves to try. And I would, even if you don't, and you should, even if you don't, just remove all of your social media right now. At least turn your phone off while you're eating dinner and don't turn it back on until next morning. Probably one of the best things you could possibly do. It's just, I look back at how silly this whole social media thing is. I'm not
that boy's woke.
I'm not an old wise man. It's just, I look back and it's like, you literally scroll around until you find something that brings you joy, humor, sorrow, whatever, an emotional state, and then you tell the person that you liked it. And that's it. It's like,
right.
And so I'm going to spend 2.5 hours a day doing that. 2.5 hours. Okay. Your productivity, no wonder it's terrible. You know what I mean? And along the way, I start finding things that I like or dislike, and I make note of that. Meanwhile, the programmer or the software made note of that too, and now they're going to start sending me more stuff that I want, so that way I keep more screen time up. It's just like, this is quite a snowball.
Yeah.
And it is clearly affecting now. And I gotta say, back when I was doing all the posts, all of the Instagram stuff, I didn't notice that. I'm just like, I need some people to like my stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But now that you're on the outside, I'm 8 weeks without social media. Everybody's in that trap. And I don't think you're going to notice it until you get out.
Right. Well, the fear is everyone's doing it. What do I do? It's like
FOMO.
we get into this place that we create ourselves, like, what do I do without it? I'm like, I don't know. Like, do you? I guess I think
Do you
very
enjoy life?
like, I make to-do lists, I have goals, I have aspirations, for my business, for my family, for my kids, and I'm like, those are the things I want to do.
You like fishing? You should go fishing.
Right. I like shooting guns. I like, like
Hiking in the woods.
Right.
I like crocheting, like whatever.
I don't want to watch other people do it. I want to do it.
Yeah. So I think that's another reason why I was so okay with when you came up to me and you're like, hey, we're going to shut down Facebook. I was like, cool.
Right.
Because it's kind of a hypocritical stance on our part. And I don't know. Maybe it's just the way that I'm looking at it. We've identified a problem. We've identified that people like to sit on their phone, scroll. Yeah, that's why it's called
Screen roll.
That's why it's called scroll, isn't it? Scrolling through, gosh dang it. So they're scrolling through their phone, okay. Lack of time and accountability. And we are going to ask them to be on that platform in order to get information about us. That seems hypocritical.
Well, and the information that we're putting out there, like what we really want to say, we're not putting on Facebook.
Because we can't.
Right.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot of... time is a huge and a precious commodity, but yet we're willing to spend it eyes glued to a screen pretty quickly. And the last thing that I want to do, like we said, going back to the kids, like I got 2 small kids too. They already know what a phone is, and it's not from us. It's from family. It's from grandparents. It's from nephews. You can't control that, but you can show, I believe, your kids how, at least this is what I'm doing. I'm not a perfect parent. I'm at least trying to show my kids how to properly use the phone for when it's needed. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a tool.
I sat and played Matchbox cars with my son for like an hour and a half the other day. You know what I mean? Otherwise, I'd have been sitting there, I don't even know what I'd be looking at anymore.
Right. And that's I would think the biggest, hopefully, takeaway for many, especially those that have kind of abandoned and what they've maybe seen, all of the things that you're able to do with that time. And like even conversations, at the dinner table. Like I remember just going out to eat all the time with my wife and my family, and like you look around and like, dude, well, there's a family of 6 people
and they all got their phone
talking to each other. Like that's just weird.
Yeah.
Like even in here, individuals be like, well, I loved when you guys posted specific things, and like, you would highlight this person. And I made the point to this individual, and I said, do you see cool things happening here in Reclaim? And she was like, well, yeah. Like, why don't you go tell them?
Yeah.
Like, why don't you just go have that conversation right now? Mm-hmm. That's going to mean way more to that person than you liking a Facebook post.
Yeah. Yeah. It's...
but that's hard.
No, it's absolutely hard. It's, once again, people... Convenience, right? Convenience. It's such a weird thing. Like a lot of people talking about how the family dynamic, quote unquote, has changed over the years. It's 100% social media.
Yep.
Like 99.98 at least. You think about 6 different people sitting in a restaurant, 6 different minds who are attracted to 6 different things, more than likely, all getting fed 6 different sources of information. Like, no wonder there's polarizing viewpoints in families these days. You know what I mean? It's so crazy. Time's a huge one. Convenience is a huge one. The sleep factor, huge as far as health goes. What other health consequences are we looking at, especially for adults?
Adults especially, I think, as a very
Or do we want to talk about improvements? Because I kind of was talking about improvements that you could probably expect.
Yeah. Let's talk about one more thing, and then we'll get into that. This might be a 2-part podcast. There's a very skewed perception, in my opinion, of reality when you are on social media. Because everyone typically, it's just they're posting the best glimpse of their life. And some people, they'll do the opposite. They're like, this was my day and how hard it was and how much of a struggle. And then the next day it's like, and then I overcame that. I'm like, well, that didn't help anybody out.
So, but that goes back to my confidence thing. And maybe that's the best way to approach it. Like, all these people that kids are following these days, it's the best part of their life. Okay. And that can be emotionally draining for people. Right. It's like it's FOMO. I'm missing out on what is possible for a kid my age. I don't know, something like that. Adults are the exact same way.
Right.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about the fitness space. Holy crap. it's so funny. Like there was actually a guy that I really enjoyed following because I thought he didn't dance around. He was pretty cut to the point. He liked going on and calling out quote unquote influencers for selling workout programs, and they were doing his program that he sold them via a third party.
Yeah, that's not good.
It's like he would come and kind of call out the BS, so to speak. I did. I enjoyed following him. But same trap. All I wanted to do was look at that stuff.
I think there are individuals who can do good things through social media. We've just decided it's not the best thing for our business.
No, I almost disagree. You want to do a good thing, put it down.
Right.
Tell somebody to go, you really want and you're attracted to what somebody does, go seek them out.
Sure.
Not through a DM.
Right. Good point.
Go in there and see them. Like,
support your local business.
Well, it's just, gosh, man, like I said, the convenience kills you here. And yes, there are plenty of people who do good things with social media, but it's contributing to another problem that they don't know about, and it's probably out of their realm. Right.
Yeah.
We're talking about health here. I don't know of any health benefits that you get for staring at your phone for 2.5 hours. Can you name one?
No.
Can't name one. Anybody out there name one?
Well,
I can name a benefit if you put the phone down.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So all viewpoints aside here, we're talking about what is beneficial for your health.
Right.
Okay.
This is the Silver Bullet podcast.
Well, we're talking about what's beneficial for your health. We're putting a little bit of moral judgment on our end in there because we're type A personality
right.
and we think that's how it should be done. But we're encouraging. How about that?
Yeah.
But yeah, there still is plenty of people who do really well. I still don't believe they do really well for your health.
Right. Yeah.
And there's all kind of argument that can be there. It's a very subjective topic. I get it. Don't come at me with that. But you guys get what I'm getting at.
Yep.
All right.
So improvements. We got to do that. We got time.
Yeah, we got time.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're willing, if you're going to put this down, obviously time's going to be a big thing that now you have a lot more of. But like Colton was talking about, reading books, acquiring skills. Let's learn some things. Yeah. Let's make our homes more productive, or let's make
building a deck this month.
Look at that. That's what I'm talking about.
It's not just me.
That's one thing I was going to say. Nothing if you want to continue on in your path of social media, fantastic. But for my boys, I would much rather, and I think you'll probably agree, your son and your daughter, I want them to know how to start a fire and how to hunt and how to get their own food.
Sounds like you better get in the
how
tree stand this
to
month.
grow and have a garden. Those are things that, if let's say the worst thing happens with our quote unquote government, can you survive?
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, it's funny that you mentioned the whole gardening thing, because I was guilty of trying to remember something or how something, I can't remember exactly what it was. I hopped on YouTube. You learn anything from YouTube, right? To go out there and do it. Perfect example. People who do good things for the benefit of others. I get that. That's great.
Right.
I could have also learned that information if I would have went and grabbed the magazine at Tractor Supply.
Local library.
And, it's just convenience. That's
Yeah.
what it is, okay? I don't want to hold anybody problematic to that, because I don't think people are going to be watching hours and hours of gardening videos. I don't know. Maybe you do. Maybe you do. I don't know. But yeah, so it's a benefit. You do acquire different skills, or you can go master a skill that you already have, rather than just staying where you're at. I can't wait for deer season to get here, because I'm going to be shooting my bow all the time. If I wasn't in the tree, might make it a little bit more in tune with nature now that I can't sit there and scroll on my phone while I'm waiting on deer to walk by.
Right.
However, this world does run very well without the information you're being fed. Now, people would come out and crucify me for saying that I'm putting off all the different things that are happening that are wrong with this world. I'm not. They're there. We should know about them. They still make newspapers, kind of, depending on what information you get. But all I'm saying is your life is not doom and gloom based on what's happening in DC. It's not happening based on what some influencer tells you to do. If you put your phone down and just go live for a week, you'd be really surprised at how happy you are.
If you want to be a person to fix anything, start with yourself, and then also start with your family.
Yeah.
If your house isn't in order, like, I'm sorry, you're not going to make a big impact outside of that home if you're coming into dysfunction all the time. I'll get behind that all the time.
Maybe you don't want to make an impact. That's fine. You live your life. I'm talking about health. You know what I mean? I'm trying to Silver Bolt podcast. We're trying to cut through the crap here. You want to be healthy? Put the social media apps away.
Right.
Yeah. So skill acquisition. That's a good that's a good plus. What other pluses? You got any other bonuses in there? I mean, obviously we talked about down to a hormonal level with dopamine and how that helps. But like, if you think about the time management thing. Okay, think about those 2.5 hours you average on your screen. You give 2.5 hours a day, 7 days a week. Think of how much more, quote unquote, time in a given year you can have to master a skill, master a relationship, master something.
Yeah.
Okay, or just learn a new one.
Right.
Okay. I still believe that when my daughter's old enough, I'm going to learn how to play the piano with her.
There you go.
It'd be fun to do, wouldn't it? Right. And my wife wants to learn how to play the guitar with our son or something like that. Like, who's too old to do that? Nobody, but we, quote unquote, don't have enough time.
We overlook it because, again, we're type A, we're doers. We're constantly talking about doing. It's okay, and you will find, again, because it goes back to time, to just be in some silence.
Yeah.
Outside, in the woods, go on a walk, whatever. Some individuals, like, they couldn't tell you the last time that, like, their bare feet touched something, like, other than their socks and their shoes.
Right.
You know, like, that's not healthy.
Yeah. Plenty of good reasons to go do that. Now, I will say, even in that documentary, okay, Social Dilemma. Okay, we said it a couple times. Now you got to go watch it. They were talking about how the initial, development for these platforms was just stay connected with people, stay connected with family, keep up on events, do all this fun thing, and it happened. That's exactly what they wanted to do, and then it turned into a crazy downward spiral.
Right.
People are like, well, how am I going to stay up to date with my family, this and that? It's like, people send pictures all the time. Dude.
Sure.
Like, it's not that hard.
Yeah,
you can send pictures. And you know what's even better is you can stay out of other people's business.
So funny. I watched this on.
You can actually focus on your own grass type thing.
We watched Connor or Little House on the Prairie. Little House on the Prairie at our house sometime, and there was one of the episodes. This elderly woman, because her family, her children hadn't come visit her in so long, that she faked her own death just so they would come for them to. To see her. So
I think they did that for a Super Bowl.
Go check out your visit your family. Have real relationships. Make time for that, not telling people what they want to hear through a device.
Yeah, it's tools are tools.
Right.
We acknowledge what a tool is, and it's definitely something that we have to learn to manage, because I think that tools can really have an impact on your overall health, right? Have an impact on your confidence, have an impact on your time management, which, obviously impacts your health. I had like 7 different studies on that one email I was going to go through, and I was like, I don't want to touch on all that crap. Like, it's so deep to the point where, like, they're talking about how screen time affects leptin and ghrelin and your hunger hormones, how they trigger you to eat just garbage late at night.
Right.
Like, you want to stop eating crap at night, put your phone down.
Well,
there's a good start.
We're intelligent beings,
boring
and to just like an individual knows, like, if you're asked someone point blank, some just want to argue it for the sake of arguing, but like if you know that you're spending, let's say, 1 to 2 hours a day on a device for like leisure time, if you just ask that person, do you think that's the best thing for you to do?
They'd probably tell you no.
Right. Like, we know it's not good for us.
Yeah, but is it actually going to do anything? I mean, is it going to create any, I hate the call to action thing, but that, you know what I'm talking about. Like, is it going to be enough to trip you into saying, hey, you should cut that out? No, we still do stuff that we know is not good for us.
Yeah.
I still enjoy a Baconator every once in a while. Right?
Some chicken bacon ranch at Arby's or whatever. But I think, like, culturally, there have to be more, fitness facilities, churches, whatever, other organizations that are like, we don't need this thing. And it's okay if you don't need it. We're going to support you in that.
Yeah. And there's, not so much on the health aspect as it is our consumer mindset type thing, which is what built this company. It's just a matter of built this country, trying to figure out how consumerism was going to create all of this stuff that's going to be at our fingertips. But it can be kind of challenging trying to navigate now, because now, like I said, it's about trying to get you on the screen so I can run an ad by you, so that way you are hopefully have an impulse to buy it. You know what I mean? So it's pretty wild. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I was so okay with getting rid of social media from our business standpoint. It's like, I don't want people to be impulsed into that, because we for years we had people who were impulse, right emotional decision come in. I saw this, I want to do this, and then they realize that it's not as easy what the picture or what the quote said. It's definitely, I don't want to say it's misleading. It's just, it's not putting all the context there, and therefore, we weren't getting people who were going to be staying with us as far as good continual members. So I was definitely okay with that, because I didn't want it to be a hypocritical situation where I was like, hey, I caught you scrolling on your phone because that's what Facebook is for. Check out this post, and then you come. It's the same thing as what's happening now. I don't want you on Facebook.
Yeah.
I don't want you on Instagram. I don't want you on anything. I want you outside doing some neat activity, doing some non-exercise activity, thermogenesis. You know what I mean?
We just, our main mission is to help individuals acquire more health. It's one of the reasons we, as a business, we used to have a later hour-long evening class, and everyone in that class, like, no one got enough rest at night. And we finally just, we were like, this has to go. Yeah. We're hurting more people than we're helping out, so we cut it out. And Facebook's kind of the same way. It's like, looking at it, if our mission is health, and we're not making individuals healthier through this this social media platform, like, let's just be done. Yeah,
it wasn't making us a better business, and it wasn't making our members healthier. Right. So that's what it was. There's 1,000 things that we haven't touched on. We could touch on, probably shouldn't. We covered most of the health things that we see and that we acknowledge. If you guys do want to go watch Social Dilemma, go do it. If not, totally understandable. It's fine. Just, it's one of those kind of being up to date type deals. And you might be really surprised about what the agenda is behind social media. Not necessarily the information that comes from social media, just the agenda itself to keep it running, and what that does to your health, what that does to your confidence, what that does to your outlook on life itself, I guess. You know what I mean? We're going to be just fine without Facebook here. Right. I don't think there's anybody out there that's really worried about it. If you are, I promise we'll be okay. Yeah. I really do enjoy life right now without social media. I don't know how to word that would entice somebody to try it. And I don't mean like delete the app and then have it. You can just download it and you're right back to where you were. I mean, like, delete the account. Right. Like, delete it all.
Too many, and this is personal opinion here. I'll try not to ramble too long. If you have this platform and it's what you find value in, are you having a lot of those like conversations with yourself, talking to yourself and having like that realistic like reflection? What do you value? Who are you? What do you believe in? Because maybe you don't even know.
Well, some people just value other people's appreciation of them, which that's how a lot of influencers work, unfortunately. So maybe a little conceited, but who might have judged on that? That's fine. So, guys, this was a very judgmental podcast.
And we liked it that way.
It is what it is. It's here. If anything, if you got anything out of this, is that you guys got a pretty good look at how James and I's brains tick, and it's not popular. A lot of people don't like it. A lot of people here in our community that don't like it. But if they're still listening, thanks. For supporting us.
It's okay to be offensive for truth. It's all good.
Yeah, you got to throw some truth behind there. So, like, a lot of our stuff, it's all about health. Right. Okay, we want you to be healthy. Facebook wasn't making us as coaches any healthier, and it wasn't making our members healthier, and it wasn't making us a better business. It was a pretty easy decision. And then from there, it was how can we better ourselves, and that's why we kind of get rid of a lot of our social media platforms.
There we go.
And we feel great.
Yep.
Love it. All right, guys. Next week we're gonna. 2 weeks, we're going to have a pretty cool episode with a couple ladies from our facility on here talking specifically about nutrition. So I know I always get a lot of emails. I don't say a lot of emails. I get emails about, it's not like I got 1,000 people emailing me here. It's like 4 or 5. Anyways, I do get quite a few emails about nutrition related stuff. So we're going to get them in here and we're going to kind of talk about experiential stuff and kind of where they're headed and what service they're kind of following and how that was beneficial to them. So got anything you want to add?
That's it. I think we talked
guys.
enough.
Sound good? Yeah, I'm tired. Time to go work out. Thanks for listening, guys. This is Silverbolt Podcast.